Hello everyone, today we are looking at a passage 2, so the invisible market of nature, and we have matching headings here, list of headings, but we should not normally read them, that's waste of time, but paragraph C, the correct answer is 7 they said, that's why I'm gonna omit this. We have no more than 2 words and or a number, okay, so hunting wasps used to feed on other something rather than on vegetation. Okay, now they are comparing two things, something and vegetation. So in the past, used to feed on. They used to feed on something rather than vegetation. So I think that would be too easy because they compare it with vegetation. Flowering plants started to reward bees with rich pollen and an additional food in the form of something. Okay, additional food in the form of approximately of human food production relies on the activity of human food production relies on the activity of bees. They said the activity of bees. So approximately, I think this is a quantity like approximately 50% of human production. That's just guessing. So if the process of something, okay, now name of the process is to take place effectively. Bees need to travel from one flower to another before going back to the nest. Okay. Bees need to balance the something of each trip against the caloric rewards they obtain. There can be over 120 different something in an acre of rainforest. Bees that pollinate large forests regularly practice an activity known as, okay, large forests, regularly they practice the activity known as, and now I need to find the best possible title for this. And now, let's start. So, sometime in the early Cretaceous period of the Earth's history, hunting wasps. Okay, hunting wasps. We talked about it. Of a certain type became bees by adopting a vegetarian diet. Now they used adopting a vegetarian diet. They began to rely more and more on the pollen of plants. I think plants. Plants means still vegetation. As a source of protein for themselves and their offspring, as an alternative to means like instead of, like rather than insects. So in the past they used to feed on insects, but now they are relying on plants, which means vegetation. So the correct answer would be insects for question number 19. In doing so, they accidentally, the big word here, accidentally transported pollen on their bodies to other plants of the same species, bringing about pollination. Now pollination started accidentally. The stage was thus set for a succession of ever closer mutual adaptations of bees and flowering plants. In particular, flowers began to reward bees for their unwitting role in their reproduction by providing richer sources of pollen and then another source of nutrition. Okay, richer source of pollen. Richer source of pollen means with rich pollen here, and additional food. Additional food means another source of nutrition, and in the form of what? Which is definitely nectar. Which is definitely nectar. So 20 is done. Now I have to go to matching headings. So Earth history. Accidentally this happened. Okay. Did we talk about parallels between being human? No. Evolutionary turning point? Maybe, because evolution means history, but I'm not sure. Cooperation? No. Preservation of individual plant species? Did they talk about saving them? No. Commercial value? Did they talk about money? No. Structure of flowering plants? Did they talk about structure of these plants? They talked about flowering plants, but did they specifically talk about structure? Like, is it about structure fully? No. So how about the need for further research? I don't think that would be the correct answer. So I think a paragraph would be to evolutionary turning point means something changed, like accidentally transported, accidentally, like pollination starts. This is the turning point. Evolutionary means like related to history. Now let's continue. Today, about 15% of our diet consists of crops. You have to be careful here. They said approximately human food production. Our diet, I don't think our diet means human food production. Consists of crops which are pollinated by bees. The meat and other Animal products we consume are ultimately derived from bee-pollinated forage crops and account for another 15%. So they are talking about meat and other animals products, but are they talking about all? I mean, are they talking about human food production? They are talking about only meat and animal products. If it follows that around 1/3 of our food is directly or indirectly dependent on pollinating the services of bees, pollinating services of bees. Now, directly or indirectly dependent on means relies on pollinating services of bees means the activity of bees. I think in human food production, our food would be suitable, and 1/3 approximately means around. So the correct answer would be 1/3, approximately 1/3 of human food production. So yeah, let's continue. If the process of something on a global basis, the annual value of agricultural crops dependent upon the services of bees is estimated to be 1,000 million pounds US, 1590 million US dollars. Much of this pollination is due to honeybees and to exceed the value of annual. So did they talk about parallels between bee and human? No. Cooperation? No. Preservation of individual species? Did they talk about saving them? No. Commercial value? I think that would be the correct answer, but I have to read the rest of them too. So, did they talk about structure of this? No. The need for further research. So, I think this is definitely commercial value of commercial value, like it's related to money. So, yeah. Now let's continue. I think C paragraph, they already chose the answer, so that's why we should only focus on from 22, 23, 24, 25. Okay. But apparently, I need to skim and scan the passage as fast as possible, and I need to find like bees travel from one to another. Did they talk about bees from one to another? Investing. Must provide sufficient nectar. I think they mentioned it here, like bee would return to its nest rather than visit another. So you should be good at skimming and scanning as fast as possible at times. Satisfied. Satisfied bee would return to its nest rather than visit another flower. The bee, on the other hand, is out to get the maximum amount of pollen and nectar. It must assess the quality. I think it must provide sufficient nectar to attract the interest of a bee, but not enough to satisfy all of its needs in one visit. So they said not in one visit, and satisfied one would return to its nest. It means if this process is to take place effectively, like effectively means I think it's about being satisfied. If the bee is satisfied, I think the process happened effectively. Bees would need to travel from one flower to another before going back. I need to find the name of the process. Maybe I should read from this part. Investing, color, providing reverse nectar clearly as a species which depends on cross-pollination. Which is I think the name of the process is cross-pollination because they depend on cross-pollination. So it's the process of cross-pollination. Is to take place effectively, like being satisfied, must provide sufficient nectar, satisfied. They would travel from one to another, like one visit is not enough, and after that they would return to its nest, going back to its nest. Yeah, done. I think the correct answer for 22 is cross-pollination, and I need to find the balance of each trip against this. So the bee, on the other hand, is out to get the maximum point. It must assess the quality and quantity of rewards which are on offer and juggle its energy costs so that it makes caloric profit on each foraging trip. This kind of trip means each trip against the caloric rewards. Caloric rewards means caloric profit here. So instead of balance, I guess they said juggle. That's why the correct answer would be energy costs. Balance the energy costs. So no more than 2 words. Yeah, that would be the correct answer. There, and I think I need to find. Do we have the answer for 24 here? No, 120. I need to find 120. But before this, Let's read this paragraph. This sounds remarkable like idea. Adam Smith, human society, competitive, economic. This relationship, okay, pay attention. Interactions of different economic units eventually resulted in a balanced and this kind of society. One might predict therefore the economists would find the relationship between bees and plants of the same interest. This is the case where economists are collaborating with botanists. Economists are collaborating with, working together with these people in the long-term study biology, native flora in an attempt to understand the dynamic relationship between communities of bees and plants. So here we have cooperation, but I don't think this would be the correct answer because it says lack of cooperation. So is it lack of cooperation? No, they are collaborating together. That's why I think 3 would definitely be incorrect. Preservation of. Did they talk about saving individual species? No. Did they talk about flowering plant structure? No. I think the only suitable answer would be 1. 1 would be the correct answer in my opinion. The parallels between bee and human activities. Human activities like economics, botanists, and these people at the same time, communities of bees and plants. Yeah, that's clear. When it comes to E paragraph, yeah, 120 is here for this particular question. Okay, this sort of study is of more than passing academic interest. It's important for authorities to understand dynamic relation between plants and pollinators. This is especially true when, say, devising conservation policies. A good example comes from the forest of this. As okay, high diversity of species. There may be more than 120. There may be more than 120 per acre. Okay, what? There is a high diversity of tree species. I think more than 120 refers to this tree species. That's, I think, referencing. So the correct answer would be the tree species in an acre. In an acre means per acre, but in a given acre maybe only 1 or 2 individuals of these trees are pollinated by large distribution of this. Okay, I think practice activity known as means this is called, oops, this is called what? Trap lining, of course. This is called trap lining. So 25 is trap lining. And yeah. How about matching headings for this particular question? Structure of flowering plants? Are they talking about flowering plants? Are they talking about flowering conservation policy? I think they are talking about tree species, devising, saving them. Conservation policy means preservation. That's why the correct answer would definitely be 4. You need to be good at synonyms as well at the same time. They didn't give G paragraph, so if I find the answer for this, that's enough. Issue of current concerns. We have only 2 options, this and this. There is another question that must be addressed. I think it is further research. I just saw this. Like, look, in order to calculate this long distance together, they are giving some questions and they say we need to know much more about. Oops, we need to know much more means the need for further research. So I think that was too easy. And when it comes to this, let's skim and scan. Okay, is it about ecological importance of bees? Maybe evolutionary history. Is it only about history? I wouldn't say that. Social behavior. Is it about behavior? I wouldn't say. Geographical distribution. They are not talking about geography. I think it's about ecological importance. So the correct answer would be this. I think I'm done with all of them. And bye-bye. Thanks for watching and bye-bye.